The forest is weeping. Its misty tears are a smoke result of industrialization. They want me to leave the forest. My mist is slowly becoming a mystery of misery. What remains is heavily altered. They have smoked me out in the name of industrialization, a peculiar practice that the 1960s brought to life. About 72% of my original 1,450 million kins of the tropical forest have been marshaled to other uses. The symphony of deforestation rates for the humid tropics is estimated to have pitched to a melancholic dirge of 6.9 million at the end of the 1970s. The off-key rendition doubled the trouble to 14.8 million hectares by 1991. There is the story of the phoenix, of the Egyptian bird that jumps into the fire, burns itself and comes back in a refreshed way. Our story is the story of the phoenix and the multiple phases of learning. And okay, that is the process of science, that the theories we had were not quite appropriate. And we came back with in a new form, tried new things. It has been a remarkable journey.
The ASB partnership is unique because it's an avenue for international partners working on agroforestry to share ideas and try to identify how they can help the other partners do research in agroforestry and other interests. It is also an avenue where there is research collaboration and exchange of information.
The alternative to slash and burn partnership was formed in the early 1990s at a time of great environmental awareness and pressing needs to do something about the alarming rates of deforestation, particularly in the developing and tropical parts of the world.
It's very rewarding to know that ASB was the precursor on I could research subjects like climate change, carbon sequestration, and most of the work was done in West and Central Africa, in my region. And beside that, a good bunch of scientists, young scientists, was trained to this climate change and to ASB.
From Brundtland Conference to Rio in 1992, there were lots of issues coming up on environmental degradation. Within Agenda 21 in Rio, there were some resolutions about reducing deforestation, but also the fact that reducing deforestation was not a simple issue. There was that competition between development, poverty reduction, getting an income, producing food, and maintaining forests that are important for biodiversity. So ASB has been about finding compromise solutions, looking at alternatives that can help us to maintain a balance at the tropical forest margins between development, food production, but also keeping forest for the biodiversity.
So I came in, but I spotted an opportunity, which was for us to take the good work that ASB scientists and the partners had developed over, at that point, about a 12-year period, and to take it into the Climate Change Convention. There was a discussion about avoided deforestation. It just started in the Climate Change Convention. I saw an opportunity, a unique opportunity for ASB to influence that with its knowledge that it built up from all these great work over the years. I believe we were highly successful at influencing the early debates about avoided deforestation and the crystallization of REDD and REDD plus as sort of large kind of mainstream parts of the Climate Change Convention. I think ASB's knowledge with its legitimacy and credibility made it really a fundamental knowledge source for the prospect of REDD, that there were opportunities to reduce deforestation.
The story of ASB starts with the tremendous concerns that were expressed in the conventions at that time.
And here, the North was largely interested in the E of UNCED, the environment, and the South was interested in D, in the development. And there was an enormous gap between them. And what ASB has helped to do over the last 20 years is to reconcile some of those differences and joint objectives, joint aspirations of environment and development, of environment and growth, of environment and social inclusion, of equity, of access, of rights, resources and tenure.
One of the main tributes of ASB Brazil was to work training of the partners, Brazilian partners, in the building policies and understand policies. So some of them had an important role as administrators in institutions like Embrapa, and they had roles also in building or participating in the building of public policies.
ASB stands for Alternative to Slash and Burn, but at some point we renamed ourselves to say we are the ASB Consortium for the Tropical Forest Margins. So we are a partnership for the tropical forest margins. We try to find solutions within that space of environment, sustainability and development, and try to develop new ways to analyze these problems, new ways to think about it, and bring it into the global conventions, bring it into the debates that we have.
The ASB partnership really has played a significant role in promoting the science of management, sustainable forest management in the tropical world. The partnership has brought a lot of efforts in bringing together scientists, policymakers and local stakeholders to discuss about the ways in which forest margins could be better managed.
The role of ASB in the theory of change was that we framed an initial theory of change, saying that this agricultural intensification would by itself bring all these other benefits. But when we were looking at it, we found that the data didn't quite agree. So we had to change the theory of change.
We have been joining ASB since 2011 as a new member of the ASB. Since then, we have been jointly working with ASB on a number of activity, projects, research, study. Through this cooperation with ASB, we have been benefiting a lot from ASB partnership. For example, our research capacity has been improving. We also have a chance to exchange knowledge, scientific information. Other important thing is our study also contribute to our policy option. For example, our study funded by ASB on the GHG carbon stock of peatland in the south that contribute to our national greenhouse gas inventory.
It's been a long journey, it's been a learning experience for ASB, but we've moved from the idea that if you intensify agriculture along the tropical forest margins, so bringing technologies that will make agriculture more productive, then automatically people will get more food and then so would not clear more forest. But then we quickly learned that intensification itself is not sufficient. It is necessary, but it's not sufficient. We need to have other complementary policies like forest protection that actually stops people from clearing certain parts of the forest at the same time as we intensify. But also then we found out that in general, forest protection is expensive for our governments, but there are other options that have come up which we've worked on along the lines of investment in forest, because forests are also important for climate, for example, for water, for biodiversity.
When we look back at the results of ASB, we can say that we have actually helped to shape the way we think about boundary work, the way we can think about this negotiation support, that it is not about science finding a good solution and then the rest of the world applying it. That science has to be done together with the action on the ground.
The unique of the ASB program is very strong partnership with the local at the institution, research, national research institutes in the ASB countries and also with the university. And now we also also to include should be very strong partnership with the policy.
The success of the alternative to slash and burn has largely been a change in mindset, a change in understanding of how we manage forests, particularly tropical forests, inside a wider land use concept.
ASB has been successful at very different levels. The first one is demonstrating to the world that you can bring several disciplines, several institutions at international level, at country level, at policy level, at national level, but also local NGOs to work together in a very smooth way. The second success story of ASB, I think, is the fact that we've been able to deliver a lot of new knowledge and new evidence on a very precise subject that is so complex to the world. I think we've had some tools like the ASB metrics that has been used widely and applied widely. I think we've been able to bring our research through some methods that have been taken up by globally recognized institutions like the World Bank. We work with the World Bank to develop a methodology for analyzing opportunity cost. I think we've been able to bring forth this sort of boundary objects, this very important instruments, tools, knowledge, evidence that has been taken up by policy institutions, by governments, and I think we've been able to have a very strong success. 1,000 publications in 20 years, scientifically solid publications, a lot of policy briefs that we translated for policymakers to understand.
As I look forward into the future, what I would like to do is challenge my colleagues in ASB to think a lot more about the original roots. Because indeed, in a continent like Africa, where the humid tropical forest is under threat, and there is enormous areas where millions and millions of farmers are striving to make a living, we can do much better in terms of assisting people, particularly in the Congo Basin, to developing alternative livelihoods.
The experience with the ASB has been very useful and has been given impacts at an individual level, at the institutional level, national and also international levels through international publication and our involvement in international fora. I believe the future challenge of the ASB is how can we make sure that the new intervention have the tangible economic benefit.
CIAT has been a partner with ASB since its founding, so we've had a very strong relationship for almost 20 years. CIAT's message to ASB is that we think this partnership needs to go on for another 20 years.
I think life begins at 20. The farmers are looking up to us. They want this alternative to slash and burn because they want to harvest. They want best use of their agricultural lands and they don't want to go to the forest. So ASB, give the farmers what they want.
I think we're still the phoenix bird and we have to still jump into the fire once in a while and to renew ourselves. And it's difficult to say how we will come out of the next fire.